And hello, good afternoon, everyone who's joining us for our latest LinkedIn Live presentation. And I'm all about holistic approaches, as you know, if you know me. Those of you who do not know me, I'm Therese Lang, holistic life, health, and wellness coach. And my guest speaker today will be Fran Babishak. And she's here to tell us about skin nutrition, holistic skin nutrition from the inside out, because really that's the best approach to use. And I wanted to say a few things about skincare. I have really sensitive skin and all kinds of issues. I remember dermatologists saying, so that's always a clue, right? So, anyway, first thing I wanted to say is don't bake your skin to even out the skin tone. Don't bake it in the direct sunlight or tanning booths. Bad idea. Great way to age it. Great way to wrinkle it. Great way to destroy it. It is a form of radiation. It really is. It's on the radiation spectrum, so you don't want to do that. Number two, a lot of outdoor activities. You might be out preparing for, big picnics, barbecues, all that kind of good stuff. Problem being that if you're out there in the direct sunlight, you can get skin cancer. You can burn your skin. So, be wise. Look for shady spots. There's even dogs know to stay out of the direct sunlight. You notice how they go for shade because they don't want to burn either. And also, if you do a lot of outdoor activities, you might run into things like poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac. They'll make you itch, drive you crazy. If you do accidentally run into that, oatmeal baths I find are very helpful. They have oatmeal bath solutions at most of the ordinary drugstores. And that oatmeal it soothes you. I think you soak for about 20 minutes. And if that doesn't work, with your doctor's permission, you can use something like a Benadryl to like get you through the first really itchy night, because Benadryl's relatively mild, but consult with your doctor about that first. So now that I've told you those things, and I'm hoping that you're taking care of not just your skin, but your whole body, because your skin is a big organ, right? It's a big organ of excretion. And so now Fran is going to give us some of her good tidbits. And Fran, tell us, how you came to do what you do and what your interest is, and go for it.
Well, thank you so much, Therese. I'm honored to be here. I have had a little bit of a journey and later in life, learning all about holistic living, and I kind of stumbled into it really. But as I was reading more and more about uh, ingredients and toxins and things, um, a very beautifully clinical skincare, I was super skeptical. I thought it would cost too much, et cetera, et cetera. But I tried the sample and I fell in love from the day one, and difference in ingredients. I was always about trying to find the thing that fit in my budget, and some people had recommended, but I wasn't really clear about looking at the ingredients on the label. And that has made an enormous difference and opened up a whole world to me of reading the ingredients, both in nutrition and both in products that you put on your skin: makeup, shampoos, bath and body, lotions, moisturizers, all of it, sunscreen. We got to be more educated about what we are doing, because it's very, especially in the United States, it's a free for all. There's only 14 ingredients blocked on the FDA's list of harmful ingredients here in the US. In Canada, it's about 500. In Europe, it's about 1,400. And then I'm using products that are excluding over 2,000. So I've really noticed a difference. I feel like my skin looks better than it did 15 years ago. And in 6 months, I'm going to turn 60. And I'm just so happy that I found these products. I haven't done any, you know, surgeries or Botox or anything like that. It's just great to be using botanicals, things that are here and clean and available to us. So, yeah, it's been an enormous eye opener for me. I wish I knew so much about what I know now when my children were little, because it was a lot about, like, say, going to the the Five Below or the dollar store and letting my girls pick out the little cheapy pretend lip glosses and things. Oh, God only knows what was in them, you know. So I'm just like, I never do that anymore. Like, just I never give those kind of little gifts to little girls because I don't want them to be hurt. So kind of where I started about 8 years ago.
Wow. So it has been a journey for you. Another thing I forgot to mention was we don't put on the thick layers of makeup on our skin, do we? Because then we get to clog pores and then your skin can't excrete impurities. Same with what you put on your body. You don't put, some people put all this body makeup on. Okay, maybe for if you're a model, I suppose you have to, maybe for a shoot, but you want to take that stuff off because it
Right.
doesn't allow, right, to excrete those waste products. And I'm always harping on, eating foods that are gonna, clean you out, drinking plenty of water, that kind of thing. I'll give you a little story that I was eating lunch with a friend of mine, and her skin was just like, she has this beautiful ebony complexion. And I said, "Boy, your skin is really pretty." And she said, "Guess what?" Now, she didn't talk about, "Oh, that's because I use, big name cosmetic." She said, "I drink a lot of water. Without that, my skin wouldn't look as good." And so I thought, aha, that is from the inside out. That's part of
Yes.
that thinking about, what you're doing. Sitting in cigarette smoke.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it is a very
Yeah.
good way to wrinkle your skin, isn't it? I mean, if
Yes.
if you want wrinkled skin, anybody want it? I'm sure you
I
can
don't
go
know anybody who
someplace.
wants that.
You can go someplace and now that doesn't mean that, if your skin is already wrinkled, that doesn't mean you panic. It just means that you take very good care of it from that point forward. And it does make a
Right.
difference over time. It really does. I knew a woman, she showed me, as a matter of fact, she showed me a picture of how she looked years ago, before she realized, I had to stop sun tanning. Yay. And then when she stopped that, her skin, she said, it's amazing. It's like I have someone else's skin. No, she has
Mhm.
her skin,
Mhm.
the healthy version
Mhm.
of it, right? And what about
Exactly.
foods? What about diets? If
Well,
you
that was a big eye opener as well. When you think about just putting things on your skin, but if you're eating garbage, you're counterbalancing. You're wrecking the benefit of the good products on your skin because internally your body is like, oh, I can't process this. I've got so much toxins. And think of your body as like a bathtub, and the faucet is all the toxins coming out of the preservatives in food, the pollutants out there, the
Yeah.
antibiotics and the hormones that are given to animals that we ingest, all the products that we eat or ingest that have, gross stuff in them. And our drain at the bottom is going to get clogged up. And that's when we get things like you mentioned, eczema, inflammation, gut issues, all kinds of problems. And so when we can clean out that drain using things like probiotics, prebiotics, probiotics, and enzymes, that is really going to clean out your gut, and your skin will start looking so much better. When you have a healthy gut, everything else gets better because that's really important. But
Yeah.
the water you mentioned, that's huge. You also mentioned skin is a big organ. It is our largest organ. And so we have to really take care of it both on the inside out. We have to feed
Mhm.
it good, nutritious products, and it really avoid artificial ingredients, artificial sugars, sweeteners, colors, preservatives. There's that high sucrose, what is it? High fructose corn syrup
Yeah.
that is in everything because
Yeah.
sugar is 8 times as addictive as cocaine. And the manufacturers of these food products, anything from salad dressing to potato chips to, you know, uh, pasta sauce, they're going to put that in there because it's addictive. And you're like, "Ooh, this is so good. I'm going to buy that again."
Right. Yeah.
That's how they subtly, subconsciously get you to rebuy because there's an addictive quality to it. So
Yeah.
really look out for sugar. It's been put in everything. And instead of buying those things on the shelves, try and shop on the outside. That's the healthy way to shop is on the outside of the grocery store, the produce, the dairy, the chickens, the meats. things like that. Stay away from the shells as much as possible. That's
Yeah.
a good way.
Somebody said if it comes in a bag or a box, rethink it, Now,
Yeah, yeah.
now there's things like I buy a very good brown rice that comes in a bag, but there's not a whole lot of other things that can hold something like rice. But if you talk about like the junk food, I mean, is that not a complexion destroyer with all of the
Oh,
saturated
totally.
fats and the salt content, right? Which,
Hmm.
well, what does it do? Makes you hold in your water,
Rehydrate. Right.
puffy, puffy. You get puffy underneath here, and you just look terrible. It's like,
Exactly.
and the thing isn't to eat the salty food and then take the diuretics. The thing is to
Hmm.
avoid the salty food, drink
Hmm.
normal
Hmm.
amounts of water, and then it's handled without because diuretics are, well, it depends. Part of my high blood pressure medication is a diuretic, but it's a different kind. The kind
Oh,
that they're
good.
talking about. Oh, you'll look slimmer if you take this diuretic and get rid of the excess water. What's holding it in most of the time is that excess sodium. And they just, I don't know what it is. People just, they're not thinking about what they're doing. I guess it's a push button age, right? You go enter and it's like
Yeah, and zone out and not pay attention to what you're
and
putting
not
in your
paying
mouth. Yeah.
attention, which also makes you eat more, and then you
Mhm.
gain more, and you don't even need the food. But then your
Right.
stomach gets used to being, filled to beyond really what the capacity needs to be. So it just, that's why I always think about it's never one dimension. It's always
Hmm.
holistic, and so that's why I was happy to see you talking about, from the inside out. You have to think,
Yeah.
beyond. Because you can be a multimillionaire and you can afford the finest this and the most expensive that, but if it isn't good for your body, then it does show in the skin. And not
Definitely.
only that, but if you like your hair, of course the follicle is underneath, right? The actual follicle of the hair. But if you eat the wrong stuff, it does show in your hair isn't as
Hmm.
vibrant, right? And there's
Hmm.
a reason why some companies will do drug testing by taking a sample of your hair, because what you eat goes to that. And, it's
Hmm.
the whole thing. And then when you realize these things, oh, I see. And then if you take good care of yourself, though, then what a difference. Yeah, and
Right.
and
Right.
some women have been able to say, well, I don't even have to wear as much makeup. That's right, because you're starting from within. Um,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I like for me, I use a gentle mineral makeup. I don't use a lot of that cakey stuff. I can't do
Good.
it.
Mineral is very important, like in sunscreen, as sunscreens are
Yeah,
loaded with chemicals.
and yeah, you have to
Like,
really
let
be
me
careful.
trade off, let me trade off
Mm,
sun cancer for some other skin
really,
area,
really,
like some other
yeah.
kind of cancer. You really look for mineral ingredients, zinc
Mineral ingredients. There's
oxide
also
in
for
your.
particularly for African American skin, something that was used in Africa for many years is shea butter, the pure shea butter,
Mm.
not the, oh, it smells so good. If it smells good, it's not shea butter without, it's got stuff added to it. It should
Oh
just
yes,
be a
stay.
really mild, it's because it's a nut butter basically.
Yes,
And
yes.
if you use it, it has a high concentration of vitamin E, which also helps to protect your skin from the sun. So sometimes I use a little bit of that rather than some of the other stuff. Now I know that there are some botanically based sun stuff, sun
Hmm.
screen things, but for me, I use shea butter. But as long as you're thinking in terms of staying away from the chemicals, staying away from the toxins, because it's also hard. It's hard on your kidneys, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if you're drinking water, but you're eating a lot of junk, that those kidneys are working double time, okay? Because they're
that's
trying,
right.
right? They're trying to purify what you're eating, and then you're drinking a lot of water, so and it has to do all that processing, and and it's there are times that people are, they have genetic predisposition to something like kidney disease or whatever. But the difference when you live your whole, you go for 10, 20 years eating the right things and drinking enough
Hmm.
water, you're very unlikely to have issues with, kidney or whatever, and always get, checked out. Don't do
Right.
self-diagnosis. Don't go saying, well, Therese and Fran said all I had to do is drink water. If you've got if you've got a kidney disease of some kind or a condition that you're getting treated for, follow what the doctor says. But and we're just talking about it in normal everyday life. If you are just you're trying to, you basically do, you are, I don't know, but well, you are what you eat and you look like what you eat. I mean, if you take two people and you feed one junk food, and I've even seen studies like you feed one junk food. I think they gave it to a couple of twins, that poor twin. You feed one junk food and the other one eats a well-balanced diet, and they literally, one of them glowed and one of them, did not.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
terrible.
yeah. So, well, some people, they'll do anything for science, but I'm sure she's back on her regular regimen. And what about exercise? Exercise that brings the natural collagen
Oh,
you have to the surface of your skin. It brings it to the surface of
totally.
your skin. And a lot of people don't realize that. That's why a lot of dancers and athletes and so forth look so good late in life, because they fed their skin with, not, now that doesn't mean that they don't wash after it, of course, because you've
Hmm.
excreted impurities, but it does bring the collagen up to the surface of the skin. And so there's just, we could talk about this all day probably, but I just, it's just so important for people to think about, if you want to, it actually, I think it adds to your confidence. If you're confident that,
I
whether
agree.
you have a lot of makeup or fancy dancy, whatever, if your skin is healthy, then, you're gonna, some people say, well, what is it? Did you do something different? Or, you have a facelift? No, because that's a lot of trauma to the body to get that done, right?
Right.
The only time I
Right.
would recommend is someone even consider something like surgery. If you have like a large, like birthmark or something like that, where people can't see you any other way,
Hmm.
or something like that, or the doctor has recommended, you had some kind of injury, like if it's an injury or something like that, or a defect that can be corrected. But other than that, leave your face alone. There was a day that we didn't have cosmetic surgery, didn't have Botox, and women actually looked better because they were eating foods. This was before they added all those chemicals to,
Right. Right.
they actually have scientists who are trained to learn the combinations that, like you said, addict people, which is just disgusting to me. That's just, how can
Yeah.
you do how can they do that?
There's a great little test that people can do just to kind of get the concept of how important it is what you put on your skin goes into your body. You could put a clove of garlic between your toes and you will taste it in your mouth within 30 minutes. So when you put something on your skin, like lotion, it's going into your bloodstream and then circulating around. And within 30 minutes, it's touched everything. So it's critical that what you're putting on your skin is healthy. And it's also critical to have a good routine. So a lot of times, people come to me and I, would come up with a great plan for their skin, but they don't put it into practice. They're just like, oh, sometimes I go to bed with all my makeup on, and I'm like, well, you can't do that. That's like aging your skin 7 days. When you sleep in your makeup, it's like aging your skin. All that stuff is stuck in your pores, getting rubbed into your face even harder with the pillow. Have a
Mm.
great routine first thing in the morning, do everything, last thing at night, do everything. It's even more important at night because while you're resting, your body is healing itself. That's what sleep is for. And so it's regenerating cells. That's why we put heavier night cream on as opposed to a day cream, because it's not doesn't we're asleep, we don't notice how thick it is, but it can do more work. We're not doing anything, not going anywhere.
Right.
So that's really important. It's just getting good routines of, like you said, with the water. You know, Fill up a big jar and say, every day I'm going to drink this. Every morning at 8 or whenever I get up, I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to put
Mhm.
on, serum. I'm going to put on moisturizer. I'm going to put on a sunscreen to protect my face. Because even if you're inside working, the fluorescent lighting can damage your skin as well. So we have to, be aware of what damages are trying to get us.
Yeah. Thanks so much for mentioning too the importance of sleep. Because if you don't sleep, the dark circles, and you look
Mm-hmm.
terrible, right? Everyone
Right.
said,
Right.
"Gosh, you need sleep because you look bad. You literally look bad from not taking, even if you have, you put your skin cream on or whatever, that's fine, but you're gonna look washed out because you haven't
Right.
had that. Just like, if you're ill, you look pale or you just don't look like yourself. Um,
Right.
so they really can tell that. And yeah, so I mean, those things that you mentioned are really important. What else was it that you said? Um, about I forget what you said about sleeping, but sleep is so important. It's so
That's when
important
we're healing.
yeah, for healing,
Yeah.
and for your hormones remaining balanced because they're
Yeah.
thrown off if you don't do that right. And if your hormones are
Yeah.
off balance, then your skin's gonna show it. And it's like
Mhm.
you see the connection is there. And I loved what you said too about routine. I used to have a whole bunch of problems with my teeth and gums, and I don't because I have a it's tedious routine, but I do it every day, every night, every day, every night. And so we just do it, and then, it's in good shape. There's a thing that circulates, and they say, well, if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. That's not really
Yes.
that's not really cut in stone. The thing is to get in the habit of doing it daily to the point of where, you don't even think about it. You get up and you brush your teeth. You don't think of going out. Good gosh, I hope not. You don't think of going to work without brushing your teeth. And you can make these things
Yeah.
just as important. And when you get into a routine, then it doesn't seem like such drudgery. Because it's like at first it seemed like I was spending spending half my day doing my teeth, but that was just getting used to the different parts, and now it's like boom, boom, done.
Yeah.
So what else
And the
did you?
book, well, speaking of habits, I was just trying to find the author's name, but I can't find it. Called Atomic Habits. Really
Yeah,
great book.
yeah,
You read,
yeah,
I'm
I've
sure you
seen that.
probably read that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I enjoyed that because it's um, it's not just about your health or your skincare, your exercise. It's everything. It's practicing gratitude every day. It's so good for your health. It's um, reaching out to people and socializing. It's if you
We
find
we
yourself, especially during COVID, we were all like
I
getting
know.
smaller and smaller bubble, and then people were suggesting, hey, reach out to someone, check on someone. It was good for both parties,
It really was,
healthy
yeah.
parties. So,
Even for the introverts, because you still need that
hmm
connection once in a while, right?
exactly.
But being an extrovert, I found ways to talk to people. You're gonna find ways if you're an extrovert. But even for introverts, maybe they don't need as much interaction, but they still need to know that they
hmm
can contact that person. They can talk to that person. There's somebody who cares. And I always say there's one person, just one person that has your back, one person that cares about you. Without that one connection, and then I mean at the minimum, right? But that one person. And like a lot of times when I do wellness chats, I'm like, if I'm the one person for that 20 minutes that we talk or whatever, then that's still going to do you some good, right? So
hmm
anyway, let's see. What have we not discussed about our
Well, I
oh,
do want
I
to
do know.
talk
I do
about.
know. There's an
Oh,
there's
okay.
an there's one thing I want to say. When you have sensitive skin, to watch the materials that you put on your skin, because there's some things, some materials, not necessarily some wools, I guess, that's unlined, but also some materials that have been treated with chemicals, right, and they make you itch. Don't worry about why they make you itch. Take the things off and don't wear that particular material because it'll just
hmm
continue to irritate. And that if you are at all eczema prone, just the feeling of that irritation can start a reaction. So,
That goes for upholstery too. Like these couches that are been treated with flame retardants. Oh my gosh, the fumes they're putting out, it's just so bad for you.
you wonder how we get through a day, don't you?
I know, I
So,
know, I know.
and I didn't
I
mean to
want to
interrupt you.
touch
Go ahead.
on collagen. Collagen. So as we age, after we're 30, our collagen decreases every single year. I mean, we make less and less in our body. That's why when you touch a baby, their skin cells are turning over every 15 days. As we get past 30, it takes like 45 days to regenerate fresh new skin cells. And so that's two things you can do to help is to take, I believe, a vegan collagen supplement, because the ones that are true collagen are made from hooves and
Like,
hides
yeah,
and
I know what you're
all
talking
sorts
about.
of bones and things, nasty things. And the vegan supplements help your own body make more collagen. And secondly, try and mask like every 2 weeks or so, just to get that top dead skin cell layer off and get fresh skin cells going. And it just helps your pores breathe better, and your skin really, it shows like after you mask, you got a fresher new look on your skin. And that's a very healthy way to keep your skin
Even
looking glowing.
even excuse me, even my husband notices that if I take a mask off,
Hmm.
he said, your skin looks so pretty. So, and
It
guys
does.
don't usually notice things that subtle, especially when you don't have
Yeah.
any makeup or anything. But he says, yeah, he notices it, yeah, that it clarifies the skin by lifting those dead skin cells off. And that is something, and I use in the shower, I use a gentle loofah sponge on my skin
Hmm.
because it helps remove those skin cells. And like I said, to be gentle, you don't have to you don't have to like rub yourself raw, because you don't want to
And
do that.
also, stroke toward your heart when you're doing your legs and your arms to improve your circulation. You kill two birds with one stone.
They
That's
even
a good
have
practice.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I
They
was going to
even
say you could do a dry brush as well, and then follow it with a moisturizer. Just, you don't even have to be in the shower if you just like, oh, I'm going to work on my skin.
Yeah, and I understand in Europe, way before we caught on, they use that a lot. I used to see the women, using the body brushes, and
Hmm.
it does make a difference. And you're right, you do brush it toward the heart. And what that does is that our lymph system isn't, we have our blood that circulates, and we have the lymph circulation, and the brushing really helps the lymph circulation, which also has other health benefits. So yeah, so there's a whole bunch of things you can do, and it's not really expensive. It's more being aware. It's learning to
Yeah.
watch labels. It's learning to, like you said, get into routine. And it's about noticing if you eat something or you use something and your skin looks, you get a rash, your skin looks bad, there's something in there that's not for you, right? Whether it's
The first thing I would suggest as far as foods is eliminate dairy for a little while and see what happens. So many times dairy can cause those dark circles under your eyes because it's really hard for us to digest. 50% of the population has trouble digesting dairy. So I have eliminated dairy from my diet, and it's made a tremendous difference. The other one is gluten. Gluten can, be difficult for a lot of people to process, and breads in the United States and pastas and things like that, they put more in that to have a longer shelf life, starting in around the 90s. And I noticed that around the 90s is when all my stomach issues started. Because I used to have a sandwich every day my mom made for lunch, and all of a sudden, like, I was just having all these, you know, painful bloating and all that stuff. And it just, when I read more about this, all kind of started in the 1990s. And that's why when you go to Europe, you can eat tons of pasta and not have the same issue because they're not doing that.
Right. And it's also, I remember seeing a farmer interviewed, and he said what happened is they wanted to quicken the yield. They wanted to increase the yield.
Mm.
And so they started to grow wheat varieties that were of a cheaper quality, or, they were cheaper and easier and quicker to produce. But our stomachs weren't acclimated to that. I mean, so then we've have had trouble with eating wheat, which most of us shouldn't have had any problem with that. But
Right,
when they started
exactly.
using all of the hybrids, and they said, well, we
Hmm.
can we can grow so much more. It's like, good gosh, is everything about money all the time?
And
What are
genetically
you doing?
modified too.
Yeah. So
Look for non-GMO in your products.
yeah, yeah.
God only knows what that's doing.
It's like that is really, it's kind of scary. It's almost like out of an H.G. Wells novel, It's like, what, what am I
Yes.
eating? What am I drinking? But really, it's just the thing of getting in the habit of, read labels. I think more people are aware, but then you have to, like you said, make it a habit, because if you're lazy about it, I'm afraid you'll get out of it what you're putting into it, and you'll
Hmm.
have, right? You'll have some
Yeah.
problems, because if you're not willing to, and it's not really that hard. I mean, you go to the store and you start to look for certain things and make sure that they're not in your food. Now there's some people say, well, some of that's more expensive. So shop around, and sometimes they have coupons on items that are healthier. Like, I remember for the longest time, it seemed like they had no coupons on stuff that I ate, but I noticed now that they have more. They're using AI to, I'm not crazy about AI, all their applications, but one of the things they do is if you shop and you regularly shop someplace and you get a card, then they begin to see, okay, these are the things that she looks for. And then they start
Right.
to offer discounts and coupons on the things you buy so that you can save money. Because for right now, a lot of people, laid off or whatever they're doing, and but they still want to take care of themselves, right? Because it's
Exactly.
so important, especially when you're under the additional stress. Your skin can also show the stress, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that Calm app that they have, I know that they offer it
Yeah.
to seniors. In some plans, they offer it for free. So, do 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, just listening to the waves. They have different kinds of noise, so white noise, the brown noise, green noise that affects different brain waves. Listen to it for 5 to 10 minutes. Do yourself a favor, because
Yes. Yes.
then I mean, you can tell when people are, the stress goes away. It's like their faces is like a different face. I've seen it happen
Hmm.
to me. Like when I went through my divorce, I looked completely different. I just looked like, I don't know what to say. Who was that?
I,
Um,
I was right there with you.
yeah, and I mean, you have to go through it, right? Because you
Hmm.
grieve, and uh, allowing releasing those emotions and releasing that stuff is good for you too. I mean, it's your
Hmm.
mind, right? Releasing stuff, and that's why I do the EFT, the tapping techniques I teach people, and I tailor them so that they can release emotions, or release the emotional charge on some of the things that they've had. And it does work. I kind of doubted it at first, but then when I saw that some MDs and PhDs were adding it to their treatment protocols, I'm like, oh, okay. So, and it does work, but it takes some practice, and it is better, I think, when you work with a coach who can do it, so that you're not trying to think of how to do it while you're going through it, so you can just take
Yeah.
it for what it is. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things you can do to have that vibrant whatever it is. And the part of the thing too is, all the ageism. Good gosh, I mean, really, folks. There are 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds who are, like, breaking records and doing all kinds of stuff. I'm so tired of this.
Right.
Oh, you're over 30. Oh, freak out. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I mean,
I love watching Helen Mirren. She is just
she
like
just,
my idol. She's unbelievable.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
saw her
There's,
movie Golda, but
oh.
then the next day I saw her in a Vogue fashion modeling thing. I'm like, I can't even believe that's the same woman. It's
Yeah,
amazing. She's
yeah,
living her life fully, and that's
exactly.
what it's all about. Like, and having balance in your life.
Having balance, and that's
You
not.
can't be all about health and wellness, but not take care of your relationships or your finances or your work life. You have to make sure it's all
That's
even.
why the life, health, wellness, all that, it's like I said, it's all holistic, because if you're going through a lot of emotional pain or strain, that's going to affect, I mean, it cannot not affect your body, right?
Right.
And your mind, because they're connected, right? So, and being aware of it, and like I said, doing things, talking, sometimes just talking to someone who gets it, maybe talk to someone who's been there. That's why I like facilitated, like, maybe not group therapy, but facilitated groups, that where you have like a master degreed psychologist. And a lot of times you can get this pretty cheap through your insurance plan. and you'll sit with other people who have been through what you've been through. It's like, oh, I'm not
Right.
the only one. And when you get that, oh, I'm not the only one, and they tell what they did and how they survived it, and then they'll have someone come in and say, she went through the same thing, look at her now. That's all a part of the healing, right? And how can you not look better when you start to let go of the pain and the whatever it is you're going through? And
Hmm.
some people go through years of difficulty. I mean, it's just, what can I
Yeah.
say, right? Some people are extremely fortunate, some people not so fortunate. But you can, if you think about it, holistically taking care of the mind, body, and remembering that what you put in comes out on your skin,
Yeah.
it
Well, back in 2015, like you mentioned, I went through a divorce. My mother had just passed from Alzheimer's. My father's Parkinson's took a nosedive and got way worse. My
wow.
twins were leaving for college. I had to sell my dad's house and move him to assisted living. I had to sell my house to find a new place to live. And oh, I got laid off from my job. It was a banner year, and the stress was out the roof. And I was stress eating and just everything. I wasn't sleeping. I was so stressed, and it just physically took such a toll on me. So I do feel like God
Wow.
put, my company in my path that I now represent because I was at such a low place, and this has given me so much joy, helping other people and teaching, educating people. I'm grateful to you for this opportunity to share more, just because it's something that my eyes were open to, and it's not only affected my skin, but just every aspect of my life. But you're right, like all of those things can take such a toll on everything.
Yeah.
Even your thoughts. Your thoughts really start saying, "Oh, there must be something wrong with me for all these things to happen to me," and you start
Oh, if I
telling
could.
yourself and believing that, and you're like, no, and then it's just what you're telling yourself is what you're telling yourself. You gotta switch out the thought and say, you know what, this is just a season in my life. I had no control over any of this,
No.
but this is what I can control, and I'm gonna take it this baby step by baby step by baby
Well, congratulations for getting through the wars because
step.
and I think in some way we've all been there at some point or whatever. But
Yeah.
that was a very, very difficult thing. And look at you. You couldn't to look at you. I'd never know all that went on. You don't look like you don't look your
Yeah.
age. You don't look your suffering. And
No, I'm
yeah,
very happy, and yeah.
cool. Very, very cool. Well, let's see. Was there anything else you wanted to tell us? How do we now you said we could reach you on LinkedIn
I
and
did
there
want to touch
bottom, the
touch base
banner.
on the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You said you put your my LinkedIn contact info. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I wanted to loop back to what you said about cost. A lot of people go, oh, it's too much. You really got to think about the long-term effect of the cost. Like, so if you are using, harmful products on your, they're going to have a compounding effect on your body, and then you're going to be at the doctor, and then it's going to be the next thing and the next thing in the hospital,
Right.
and that is way more expensive than daily taking good care of yourself. So
That
remember that.
it's what I call the pay now or pay later plan. I mean, which you
Yes.
right? Which would you rather do? And I think the
Yeah,
pay later plan is much more difficult because then you're trying
totally.
to undo and it's more expensive. It is more expensive. It's
Yeah.
just like when you don't take care of yourself and you get sick and you go in the hospital. Whereas if you had all along been just diet alone, just eating right the whole time, then you wouldn't be
Yeah.
in that situation. So
I
yeah,
highly recommend following Dr. Mark Hyman. He's a physician who's all about healthy eating, and he constantly references our sick care system. We do not have a health care system. When we're sick, we go in and we see the doctor. The heiress to the Walmart, you know, uh, money, Alice Walton, she is creating a new med school in Bentonville, Arkansas, that is going
mm,
to be a holistic medical school. I think it's going to be ready in 2025 or 2026. But I
wow,
love that. I love that. She wants to teach doctors what we are sharing on this program today about being preventative, being proactive about your health instead of reactive, instead of having to, play defense, play offense.
But remember, now the medical field may not make as much money, right? They make lots more money when they
Oh,
let us get really, really sick, and then we
yes,
see, that's
big
what you, and
pharma,
once again,
pharma.
that's what, I knew some doctors who they were very disillusioned by that because okay, so of course they wanted to make money, but they were in the medical field because they wanted to help people, but the way things were set up with the associations that they were a part of, they weren't actually able to give the best quality of care because they were bound by the terms of those things. And that's a
Hmm.
shame, right? Come on, let the
Exactly.
doctors do their best job and at facilitating our healing if we get one of those weird diseases or something, because stuff does happen, right? That has nothing to
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
with anything. And they do want to do that. They do care, and then they're strapped in by those requirements and so forth. So, well,
Right.
we touched on a lot of health stuff today, didn't we?
I know. It was wonderful. I loved it.
So I'm hoping
Oh,
that people got some value from it. And what's the name of
mhm.
the company that you work for? That you
I'm with Arbonne International. We are
Arbonne, ARB.
Bonne. It is a 43-year-old health and wellness company founded by a Norwegian, made in the United States, but we are in 6 other countries around the world. And really proud to be one of their consultants. It's such an amazing product line, and they have such an incredible culture of lifting people up.
Okay, great. So, like I said, for those of you watching live, or actually, you know what? I never saw that anyone was able to join us today. So I guess they'll all be watching this on the recording. And we are going to yeah, we'll go ahead and just leave this recording up for a while so that you can contact Fran if you have some more questions. I'm sure you will. She may have some little tips to give you for whatever your skin condition or question is, or she may be able to recommend something that she knows works very well. As you can see, she's a very good advertisement for her attitude and what she does in her line of work. So I think I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and it's been a pleasure. We had a lot to talk.
We sure did. I'm so happy to have been a part of your production today. It was amazing. I loved having this discussion.
Very cool. And I guess I'll see you around LinkedIn then. And
Sounds
take
good,
care.
Therese.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
You're
All the
welcome.
best.
Bye bye.